So what was your first job in the industry, and how would you say your role has evolved since then?
Well, I would say that I've got two careers behind me. So my first job was very much tailored to my first career, and that was actually as a graduate designer for Interbrand
Mm.
in London. So I just finished a BA in design studies at London Metropolitan University. It was then called London Guildhall, and I just got an opportunity to work at Interbrand. And as a graduate designer there, we actually got to work on quite of the big brands, doing mostly sort of prep pitch work and visual research, and maybe like not that much hands-on design, but it was still a really good start and entry into the industry. Also, having Interbrand on your CV didn't, that helped. But since then, I spent about a decade as a graphic designer and art director in the communications industries. I worked for a marketing agency. I worked for a design agency. I did loads of packaging. I did loads of branding. The biggest stint was at an integrated agency, I guess you still call it nowadays, I think, called Clinic, where my role shifted very much towards the sort of conceptual, creative, and lots of strategy, actually. We got to work very close to planners and copywriters and this. And then a little bit of advertising there at the end as an art director. And then that career ended abruptly with that fact that my body broke down physically. I got work-related upper limb disorder. I had no idea what that was, but it's basically a repetitive strain injury. But it was I basically used to compete too much, so I had to pivot.
Yeah.
And now I've spent the past almost 10 years again working within the learning space. So I quite quickly sort of opted out from the heavy production design work to a different sort of world of learning design.
How do you find that switch between the two?
It felt quite natural. It actually, part of the switch was I got an opportunity to become a graphic design teacher at Shillington College. So it was literally, if you can't do, teach. and by doing that, all these, because when I left uni, all the software that I used in uni were obsolete by the time I got my first job. So all the technical aspects is very much learning by doing.
Yeah.
So when I became a teacher, it was all that intuition. I had to kind of change that into some sort of pedagogical narrative, and get questions like, oh, how do I do this thing? And my muscle memory would know, like shortcuts and things. Yeah. But if someone just asked me, I'd be like, Apple shift. I'll get in there. So that was really interesting in how I then had to translate what I do to teach others. Yeah. And I think ultimately, that, but also being part of the development of individuals and organizational culture through learning, I think, that passion took over. Then the fact that, I am a designer is kind of like my secret superpower that I still use and abuse. But yeah, it's not my job anymore.
Your ace up your sleeve to bring
ace up my sleeve. Like, guess what? It can look good too. Which, like, in the learning and development space, my God, there's some ugly slides.
Yeah. I mean, it's generally, I'd say, an industry that has stayed the same for quite a long time. And I feel now is having a boom in many areas of it, at least, to see that, oh, there's other alternative ways to teach that are actually more effective and more fun.
Exactly.